gear left, and away we go. See, that's pretty brisk. So I think you can't ask for better than that. That was really brisk. Oh, cool seats. Love them. Absolutely best thing ever. This car has cool seats for driver and passenger, heated seats, and heated seats in the back for your prostitutes in the back there. There's so much to like in this cabin. The layout is just very attractive. But little things like having soft bits here that you lean your elbows on. The wheels are kind of nice leatherette feel. And the vents you can adjust so that they point straight at your hands. It's very hot outside. I've been photographing. I'm a bit hot and sticky. So it's nice to sit in the car and actually direct the air directly onto your hands on the wheel. Little things like that make a difference. Now, as we follow the traffic down the gorge, we'll talk about regen. It doesn't have the full iPedal mode that takes you to complete stop, but it's got 4 levels, 3, 2, 1 and none, and it works really well. I'm on max regen heading down this gorge now, so these people in front are braking, I'm not. I just lift off the pedal and it just manages that beautifully, turn it in. Again, no brakes, so he drives the whole car on one pedal. That works really well. That's in eco mode. If I go to sport mode, now the pedals operate like gears. So I can go 3rd gear, 2nd gear, and you hear the petrol motor's kicked in, 1st gear. So now we've got a conventional petrol car with a little bit of extra punch from the EV motor. But I have to say, that's all a little bit raucous. Having enjoyed that blissful silence and letting the car manage the petrol motor, it's much nicer just to go back to an E mode and let it do it. And it's actually a much more chilled and relaxing place to be.
Now, on this channel, you know we focus on cars that are fun to drive for the enthusiastic driver, like these. Usually they're fast, petrol, but lately some sporty electric cars that have even managed to win Mark's approval. Now, whether deliberately or not, up to now we've avoided the softly sprung, high-riding SUVs that folks in suburbia seem to really want as their family transport. Popular cars like the best-selling and affordable Toyota RAV4, for example. We don't really like them. Fine as an Uber to and from the airport, although we do make an exception for the Porsche Macan, a mid-size SUV that shows it is possible to make an all-wheel drive SUV that goes, stops and turns like a proper sports car, has reasonable space, and can still tow 2 tons or more. And it looks pretty good too, but way more expensive than this. But it does show it's possible. So today I'm politely asking Mark to drive the car we never thought we'd review, a mainstream hybrid SUV. It's a Tucson. Except it's not a plain old Tucson. This is not your $39,000 Povo Pack front-wheel drive petrol car. This is a first for Hyundai, the new 2025 all-wheel drive Tucson Hybrid Premium with all the fruit at just over 60 grand, so it's not cheap. But with so many features and so much impressive tech that's trickled down from the top-line Genesis cars that cost twice as much, it could still be good value. But all that means little to us if it's not fun to drive, by which I mean responsive sharp steering, pretty well damped, not too spongy or bouncy or lurchy, so basically not like an SUV. We'll find out. Now Mark's literally just off a plane from the UK and he's jet lagged, so we'll cut him a little slack. Now I've lured him here under false pretenses with the promise of something nice, and in return, as you can hear, he's now given me the lurgy that he caught on the plane.
Alright, welcome Mark. Welcome back from England.
Yeah, good to be back. It's nice and warm. I was in -3 degrees this time last week, so...
and you're back to Aussie summer.
Yeah, and we spoke about getting a Ferrari, but we've got an Hyundai SUV. What's gone wrong, Stu? The plan...
What type of cars don't you like? SUVs. Which kind of cars am I not mad about?
Yeah.
Hybrids. So what have I brought you? Hybrid SUV.
Yeah, but I do like Hyundai, so...
Yeah. First thing I'm going to get you to do, see the little scroll wheel on the right? That's your volume control. If you hold that in for a second for me, just this little scroll wheel there, just hold that in for about 2 seconds.
Yep.
And let go. That turns off all the audible bings and bongs. Remember we used to have to go through all the menus to do that? And it's a fast way to turn off all the speed alerts and lane departures and all that stuff.
Hyundai have been listening.
They have.
To your whinging, Stu, so...
I don't think they were listening to me. I think.
Hyundai. That is actually good, isn't it?
Now this is a mild hybrid, so there's no plug-in capability on it. and it automatically manages the charging of the battery. You can see that it's charging the battery now, and it's almost full because you've been coming down the hill. Now in the Alpha, the battery was 15 kilowatt hours, which is quite a sizable battery. Guess how big the battery is in this? 1.5 kilowatt hours.
Okay.
It's tiny.
Yeah, right.
But because it makes sure it's got charge, and when you want to jump away at the lights, it's always there.
Yeah, interesting.
I think you're going to like this car. Interesting that your first comment was that how light the steering is. I actually thought how good it was, how much weight it had on it compared to the Alpha.
It is heavier than the Alpha for sure, but a little bit of a disconnect on the steering is quite normal with these SUVs, and we've got to remember it's not a sports car, is it? But
no. In fact, what is it that you don't like about SUVs?
well, there's a bunch of things. I think dynamically, from a driving experience, and I like, it doesn't have to be an expensive car. It can be a cheap little Renault Megane that I drive, a sporty car. I like the driving experience. I like to feel what the car's doing from a steering point of view, from a throttle point of view, from a body roll point of view, and a body control point of view. These cars, you don't have any of that in my view. So they're really made for people that just want something that is sitting up a little bit higher. I don't know why they want to feel like they're sitting up a bit higher, because everyone in Australia is driving these. You're now not sitting any higher than anyone else, so that's really not a benefit at all. But practicality-wise, sometimes they have a bit more room in them. These have reasonable room. A lot of them don't have much more room than an average sedan, so it's sort of a fashion thing. But yeah, from a driving experience point of view, unless you're driving a Cayenne or a Bentley Bentayga or something, for me, they're just cars to get from A to B, which is actually what most people want, isn't it? So that's just me being a bit of a driving snob, I think, Stu.
Having said that, don't you feel like this is markedly better than, remember you rented a Tucson recently?
Maybe 18 months ago for about 6 or 7 weeks, and one of the lowest spec models being a rental. This is certainly a lot better than that.
So yeah, this car addresses my issues with hybrids. The packaging is actually good. The fact that it's a legacy petrol platform doesn't really matter. It's still got masses of space. We've got a nice low floor in the back, so you've got leg room and thigh support in the back seat. There's really no compromise. It's only a really small battery, so even if it were flat, and it'll never go flat because it manages it itself, but the extra grunt it gives you off the line is great. 250 newton meters of torque, so this thing, when you get on it, it actually goes really well.
Ergonomically, seats are actually pretty good, aren't they? Not a lot of lumbar support.
It's adjustable.
They're not too bad, yeah.
Go and have a play. It doesn't go up or down, but it goes in and out.
See, that's a win straight there, isn't it?
I knew you'd like that.
Yeah. And being all-wheel drive as well.
Yeah, I agree about the main reason you get an SUV is you want the all-wheel drive. Not necessarily for off-road, but for bad weather and the family, you want to be safe.
Yeah, these are not an off-road car.
But it's got off-road mode.
Some drive terrain maps there for throttle.
Snow and mud and sand. Now you hear how the petrol motor kicked in there?
Yeah.
It was just, it's quite transparent the way it kicks in, unlike, say, a RAV4, which is really quite thrashy. This is actually quite smooth. Little pause there as it came in.
Yeah, there is a little hesitation there.
Now you're using the paddles to change gear. And I actually find I much prefer it in sort of eco mode and let it do the work.
Thing, yeah.
Yeah. Give it a little wiggle and we'll see how SUV-like it is. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, we haven't completely lost the SUV characteristic, have we?
You won't really when you're sitting up this high. And an A to B family car, chuck the kids in the back.
But I want more than that. I want an A to B family car that's totally practical, but still pleasant to drive. When you go, here's some corners, let's have a go.
Yeah.
And it's
There's
halfway there. It's halfway there.
It's halfway there.
Now here we go. Here's the first corner in ages. Just see how it turns in. See how it stayed fairly flat? It didn't roll too much.
Yeah, it's not too bad, is it?
Come on, I'm going to talk you into this car. And they're only little Nexon tyres. They're nothing special. See, that's actually nice, isn't it? No, I'm liking it. Great sound system as well. So would you buy, to save $20-something thousand and just get, bugger it. I get so much in the base model car, I'll just buy the cheap 2-litre petrol. Front wheel drive though. Now, I won't go through all the variants. I'll let VoiceOver Stu tell you about that.
No, VoiceOver Stu's got a bad throat today. You do it, lazy Stu.
You've got your base model, your premium and your elite in both petrol cars and hybrid cars. And then on each of those, you can add the inline pack. And then you've got multiple engines as well. You can have the 2 litre normally aspirated, or you can have the 1.6 turbo. And there's an ordinary automatic, and there's a DCT automatic, you know, dual clutch. So it's really complicated.
It's a lot to keep track of, Stu. Well done, Hyundai salespeople.
Yeah, imagine having to know all that and go, no, sorry, you can only, if you want red, then you've got to get the N-line option. And that's true too. Do you know what they call this colour?
I call it just in a flat grey that looks like it's not been painted properly, but that's my view. But
it's a Sherman tank, isn't it?
Yeah. Shows up every little bit of dirt and dust and mud and spots. If it, you know,
it does.
Go through the rain, get a few rain spots on it.
Yep, it does. But it's not Sherman tank grey. It's called pine green. Now, when I think of pine green, I think of that green out there.
Yeah.
If matte paint were $1,000 less, I still wouldn't buy it. But it's actually $1,000 more.
Yeah.
Why, Hyundai, can you do me a favour, please? All those lovely colours that you've got on the Genesis cars, the Matria Blue, that lovely ice green we had on the GV60, can you please put them on your Hyundai range? I think matte's a fad that's going to last about as long as spinner wheels.
Yeah.
It was fun when it first came out on you got your ML63S in matte, and you looked like a mafia don, you know. But I think we're over that now. Let's just have nice shiny paint that doesn't show every single drop of rain or finger mark. They've loaded it up. Okay, this is our top level car. This is the $61,000 car, but everything we've come to know and like about, like that display, is just so good.
It's really clear, isn't it? And not too distracting.
Give it some mumbo.
So it goes okay, doesn't it? The initial acceleration's quite good.
Yeah. Normally with a 1.6 petrol motor turbo, it takes a little while to get going and drag all that weight, but the electric motor really does help it. So the electric motor serves two purposes. One is for that initial shove, and secondly for economy, because it just kicks in whenever it can in eco mode or in my mode, depending how much I-pedal you've got on as well. How much I-pedal do you have on? Not much, you're just cruising.
That's maximum I-pedal there.
Okay. Well, see, the petrol motor's just shut off now, so you're just cruising along, no petrol at all.
Yeah.
Predicted range still 500k, and I've been driving it quite a bit, so that's got a really good range. And now the petrol motor's just kicked in again, just to put a little bit more charge back in the battery. So you'll find if you start it in eco mode and just leave it parked, put the aircon on and relax, you'll just be sitting there and the petrol motor will start just to make sure the charge goes in, because it's not a big battery.
One thing I do need you to test out, Stu, is the headlights at night time, because I know they've got the very cool looking LEDs at the front of this car, which look great.
Yep.
My experience was they didn't work too well at all.
The cameras are great. Quality of the camera view.
Impressive, isn't it?
And it's all the usual stuff we've come to love with. It's just so good.
Yeah. Actually, just through some of those, nice smooth road there and a little bit of speed in some of the corners, it's actually not too bad, is it?
Yeah.
Better than I thought it would be.
Good. Now, are you warming to it?
I'm warming to it a bit.
Keep driving. By the time another hour, and you're going to think it's the best thing since sliced bread, you're going to sell the Renault.
I don't think so.
Mate, I've got adjustable seats.
Lumbar support on that side?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even the back passenger can adjust my seat if they want. If they don't like where I'm sitting, they can move me.
Yeah.
They can't move you, though. What's the other complaint? Too many things on the screen to navigate. Look, all our aircon's here. Basic nav and stuff's there.
Yeah.
This
is good. Plenty of buttons. We want to adjust the volume.
Forward collision alert. Not only that, that's a bit of a stretch. You can do it on the wheel, your right-hand thumb wheel.
It's a little bit too far over there. It'd be nice to be here. But
that's your tuning on that side.
Yeah. But it certainly rides quite nicely over the bumps, doesn't it? The undulations. It's a little wallowy, as you'd expect. But compared to some other cars we've driven recently over bumps, over small potholes and corrugations, it soaks that up really nicely, doesn't it?
It does. Now, it's no good having a safe family vehicle with all the kiddies in the back if it doesn't stop. So let's go down this mountain pass and see how it stops. Yeah,
it doesn't feel as good as the Alpha on the brakes, but you wouldn't expect that. It does feel really solid though, doesn't it, Stu?
Yeah.
Yeah, but, I mean, again, you've got that whole pretty massive body roll thing going on, but that's not unexpected at all.
Yes, it is leaning on the outside wheel, but it's still
sort of adequate,
reasonably flat. Great heavens. Look what I just found in the side pocket. There's something rattling there. I promise that's not mine. I think I'll just put that safely under the carpet because I don't want that flying around. Now they're not especially huge brakes. See if they're going soft.
It's okay. Could be a bit better, but of course it's adequate for what the car is, isn't it?
I reckon it's fantastic.
Really picks up nicely out of the corners, Stu, doesn't it? I like that mid-range punch this car has.
In the last 40 minutes of driving, we've used 15.5 kilowatts of electric energy, and the battery's only 1.5 kilowatts in size.
Yeah,
so we've used its capacity, well, 10 times over. You can see the energy flow there. Petrol motor's off at the moment. That was fun. Yeah, it leans on the front, doesn't it, when you stop it?
Feels really dead on the brakes, to be honest.
Okay.
You know, again, what do you expect?
That's all right. We'll stop making excuses for it, but I'm talking this up. For a guy who doesn't like hybrids and another guy who doesn't like SUVs, okay. But you feel that rock there just as you come over the curb, that's an SUV. Okay, punch it, buddy.
It's not bad, is it? I mean, the initial off the line is not as good as the Alfa Tonale, but the mid-range is really nice. Once it gets into that mid-range power and torque, it's actually working really quite well.
And it's still not a romantic sounding motor, but it's...
Nah. You get the benefit of all-wheel drive out of these tight corners when I'm giving it a little bit of a punch there. It's pretty good. The traction is great. Brakes feel a bit wooden. It's adequate.
You don't want to come in deep under the brakes.
I don't think you do, no.
For a 1.6 medium-sized, fairly heavy SUV, that was freaking good.
Yeah. Not bad, is it?
No, not bad at all.
Little bit of a burst of battery out of the corners. Gives us a little bit, then just cuts out straight away, doesn't it?
Righto. That was good, Mark.
That's true.
Thanks for coming back from England just to drive this, just for me, just for that little half an hour of fun.
Yeah.
Fuel economy. Look what our average economy is, 6.4 litres per 100k over the last 180 k's.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah, it is good, isn't it?
I got 4 litres per 100k coming out here this morning.
Right. Yeah, I don't like SUVs, we know that. I'm always whinging about them, but it's pretty capable in all areas. But they've done a good job. I mean, you see a lot on the road, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say about the headlights for night time.
Like, turn this off. All right, I'd say those headlights are not too bad, wouldn't you? That's our high beam. There's our low beam. Low beam is a bit low, but high beam is really good. Can you see the head-up display? Let's get the parkers on. It's just the parkers. You can probably see it now. You know, I disagree with Mark a little bit. The steering feel on this is good. The weighting's quite nice. There's a little bit of that slow response you get, slow turn in, but it's not too bad.
Now, while our reviews are really about the driver's perspective, I have to point out that this car offers a lot of new stuff we haven't addressed. The huge amount of tech with the over-the-air updates, live traffic updates to the already very good sat-nav, the BlueLink suite of services for collision notification, huge amount of dynamic safety stuff in Hyundai's SmartSense, and finally, CarPlay and Android Auto now working well wirelessly. Now this SUV has 1900 kilos towing capacity. That's more than a RAV4. Alternative cars, well, the obvious one's the RAV4, but I do prefer this car in every way. This car is also slightly bigger in every way than a RAV4, except height. And if you order one of these, you'll probably get it a whole lot quicker as well. Maybe the Kia Sportage hybrid is more stylistically interesting. Yeah, I can see that. But there's a clincher in favour of the Hyundai. In Australia, the Kia only offers front-wheel drive. My own thoughts, at least get an all-wheel drive, which means you have to get a premium or the elite variant. If you ever find yourself towing a trailer or a small caravan in the wet, or venturing through slushy conditions, mud, sand or snow, it'll pay off. And if you never do any of those things, then why not just buy a car? And you know what? Despite being a rather odd-looking mid-size SUV, it's actually a really enjoyable and relaxing car to drive, as long as you don't expect to be keeping up with a Porsche Macan. Does Mark want one? No. Do I? No. My kids are grown up and I just don't need this. But if I had to take 4 people for a week in the snowfields, absolutely. Can't think of anything better.
Well, I didn't win Mark over completely, but I will say, of all the SUVs I've driven, the mid-size SUVs, this Korean car is a head and shoulders above. It's really nice. It's almost a car in the way that it drives. Top of the tree. I do like this. It does have a lot of car-like driving attributes. So it's up to you whether you want to spend 40 grand for just the entry-level petrol car, or this one full-blown everything, low 60s. If that's in your budget, it's an exceptionally nice car as SUVs go. The ride is great. Sure, there's a little bit of tyre shudder when you hit bumps, you know, that typical SUV that you get through the wheel. There's a bit of pitch. This is a really bad bit of road here, and I think the ride is actually really good. It's a little bit pitchy like, you know, SUVs do, but it's good. It's still really nice steering feel. The mark of a good car is that it feels smaller than it is on the road, and this thing actually doesn't feel like a medium-large SUV. It's won me over. If this is your kind of car, yeah, no hesitation, really like it. So there you go. Thanks for watching. There's our score up there. Holy crap. Didn't expect it to do quite that well, but there you go. See you next time. It's been emotional.
And now it's an advertisement. This one is important, so no, you cannot skip it.
If you're going to review a sports car properly, you have to find a twisty road with some real corners and actually drive it. Spend some time with it. That's what we do.
Oh, this turns in beautifully. That's a lovely corner there.
So for real reviews of classic and sports cars like these, from the affordable to the exotic, take a trip down under with us, inCARnation Australia. See you there. So I would like to take this chance to thank Hyundai and recently Kia and also Genesis for the loan of their very nice cars. I don't necessarily want to sound like I'm a brand ambassador, but they just are very impressive.